So hey everyone, this I'm Nilesh Jain, and I want to welcome you to my interview show, where we interview entrepreneurs, affiliate marketers who is super awesome in their niche. So today we have an amazing guest with us. Today, this with us today, this man is started his own show and interview or on show interview show and in interview show over over interview over 55 plus top 7 8 9 figure entrepreneur in his show. It is awesome, and he is a dream 100 expert, online business entrepreneur, a consultant, and an author. And recently he launched his book, Decades in a Day. So without wasting your time, let's welcome RJ Ahmad. So
Hey
hey
bro, what's
RJ,
up? Thank you so much for having me
I'm
today on
good.
your show, man. I'm excited.
I'm so grateful to have you on my show. It is an awesome for me, awesome opportunity for me. I'm grateful for you. So how are you?
I'm pretty good. What about you?
I'm very well, thank you, and thank you so much for on my show.
Yeah, man.
Uh, could you could you tell us a little bit about yourself on how you started in this journey, as you are.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So if people don't know about me, I'm born and raised in Saudi Arabia. I spent my whole life over there, and the people who are living in Middle East are not kind of like into entrepreneurship. They are kind of in 9 to 5 job. They love their 9 to 5 job out there. They don't have any plans of getting into entrepreneurship. So during that time, I was teaching tuition with my mother. I was making around $100 a month, and since I was like more younger, I'm 21 right now. Since I was like even younger, I was
Awesome.
spending that money in,
Wow.
yeah, in PlayStation, in mobile, these type of gadgets and everything out there. Never thought about investing it, never thought about doing anything with it. So after that, in 2017, I went to Pakistan for the very first time. It was like crazy time. It was like new people, new environment, everything was new. It was crazy time at that moment. Then I finished my college in 2018. When I finished my college, I didn't got myself admission in the university. So when you're living in an Asian family out there, you can probably understand, or you can probably know the fact. There are comparisons
Right.
happening and this and that, like so many things. I was like, oh, this is crazy. So I was typically free for 6 months. During that time when I was
Okay.
actually free, in that time I saw an ad of Shopify, and I was like, oh, like I know what Shopify is. Let me have a more research on it. Let me have a look what it is. So I started to do a bit more research. It got me a little bit more interest. I searched a lot, and then I started my own Shopify store. When I started my own
Okay.
Shopify store, at one point I thought about how can I get paid, because as an entrepreneur, when we are providing our services, whatever we are providing, we have to get paid at the end of a day. So if people
Right.
don't
Right.
know, Stripe and PayPal is not available in Pakistan. We don't have any of those payment gateways out there. So that was kind of a big challenge for me. But I really don't want it to be, ending in a victim mentality. I don't want it to be like, hey, if I'm in Pakistan, I can't use PayPal because it's not available in there. There have to be a workaround on that. So there's a guy, Sebastian Gomez. He's from Costa Rica. Awesome person out there. So I saw his video where he was talking about how to create Stripe for non-US citizen. So then I watched his
Okay.
video. I saw the process of getting LLC, EIN number, everything out there. The cost of forming LLC was $126, and I had some of my savings, which is around $126, almost the same amount which I had,
Awesome.
pretty much almost the same. So I didn't took any money from the parents. Anyone who is starting out, especially if they're young, I don't suggest taking money from your parents out there, because I don't believe so. That is a positive pressure for you. You have to have a pressure, but it should be positive. So I don't suggest to take money from your parents, first of all. So apart from that, the
Right.
next thing which actually happened with me was, I found Stripe finally after like 1 to 2 months. It took me like that much time to get Stripe. And then when I thought about working back on my store, I was like, I don't have any money. This is crazy. I want to have
Right.
Shopify. I want to have like subscription. I want to have fulfillments. I have to have like so many things to handle, but I don't have resources. So what I actually did, I did the post on Instagram that, hey, anyone who is interested to investing in my company, let me know. So there were a few of my friends who were also my students as well in the past. They got to know about that. I explained them the process, and they were like, "Cool, let's do it." So they invested like $200, and it is around like 30,000 rupees. So they invested $200, took the 30% equity of the company, and I was like, cool, let's do it. So they paid me $200. Finally, I launched the store on Black Friday in 2018. In Black Friday, if people really know that Black Friday is the biggest night of the year or the biggest week in e-commerce.
Yes,
People make like
yes, yes, yes.
6 figures, 7 figures, even more. So I was watching those
Right.
gurus, those entrepreneurs who have like Lambos and so many things. I was like, I'm gonna make it
Okay.
like that fast as well. But it's not that easy. People just don't understand. There are so many things happen. There are so many processes and so many things out there. So when I launched my store, nothing was working. I was like, wrong product, wrong targeting, wrong offer. I'm like, why it's not working? Why I'm not making money? This is crazy.
Right.
So at that time, I was selling products to my family members, to my friends, but that's not a sale. I was just selling it. A sale is something when you're
Right.
selling to someone who is unknown to you in the initial start. So you have to make sure that you're selling to someone in the initial start who is unknown to you. Later on, it becomes your customer, your friend, whatever it is. So at that time out there, I saw there were a lot of marketers who was talking about a funnel, like what's a funnel is. I was like, what is a funnel? Is it like filling up like water tank or oil tank? Like what it actually is. So then I
Right.
saw a post on Instagram which was like, hey, this guy have made like $3 million in 90 minutes. Russell Brunson, founder of
Wow.
ClickFunnels. Like, okay,
Yeah.
Russell is the only guy I can link with ClickFunnels right now. So I went on, searched a lot about ClickFunnels and Russell Brunson, and on January 2019, I signed up for ClickFunnels under Paul Motley. So when I joined under Paul Motley, I got in a call with Paul, and he was the very first guy who had. I got in a call who had native English. English is not our first language. So the people who don't
Right.
have English as their first language, the first problem they face is they have the lack of confidence in speaking. They can brag 100% in front of their friends that we know English, but they know that they don't know how they can speak in front of a native person. So
Right. Right.
that he was super helpful. He was super kind. And then later on, one of ClickFunnels guy, Nico, he extended my trial for 2 months because I wanted to promote
Okay.
ClickFunnels as an affiliate marketer. So I wanted to make money as an affiliate
Awesome.
marketer, but I didn't make any money at that moment. I was watching other people having those orange bars in the past. Now it's blue. Those orange bars. I was like, is it even work? Is it real? Or is it a scam? Like what it is? So that was kind of a crazy moment for me. I was like, things not working for me. What the hell it is? So on March 9th, there was a guy who needed a Facebook ads course, and I just told him, hey man, like I'm your guy, let's talk about this stuff, let's do it. So finally I got connected with him, I got on a call with him, I told him, hey man, I'm gonna get you this course for free if you sign up for one funnel away challenge through my link. And he was like, okay, let's do it. So he hung up the call. Within 5 minutes, he bought one funnel away challenge, and bam, I made my first $100.
Wow.
And I was like out of the world. I was like, oh my
Awesome.
god. Yeah, if I can make $100 a day, that is around 15,000 rupees, which almost I can spend in a whole month in my hostel, the full monthly
Right. Right.
expense in a day. So that was like turning point for me where I was like, okay, if I can make $100 a day, I can make $200, $300, $1,000, even more in day as well. And now I realized everything works. So I started to like be more excited, started to help out more people. I made my first $300 in that exact month of March. I was like, okay, that is around like 45,000 rupees, which is a good salary in Pakistan. It's a good salary. So I was like, okay, I'm making this money. Let's see how I can go in and provide even more value. So what people don't understand is value is in exchange of anything you're providing to helping other people. It could be your time, it could be your resources, it could be your money, it could be anything you actually can do.
True.
So when
True.
I
True.
understand what value is, it took me the next 3 months to make my first $1,000, and it took me the next 5 to 7 months to make my first $10,000, and then things started to
Wow.
transition pretty well.
Awesome.
Yep.
Within a 5 to 6 months, you make a 10K dollar. It is a
Yep.
very amazing thing. And
Because I started to
uh,
understand what value is. When you
yeah,
understand what you're actually doing, and when you started to realize how you can actually provide value, that is kind of achievable. So yeah,
yeah.
that was pretty good.
Values, yeah, value is a thing that we once we add so much value, everything is a byproduct of the value
Yeah,
that we
so
provided.
true.
Right?
Absolutely.
Yes, yes.
There are so many people out there who are, who I met almost like 3 years back, who still buy products from me. It happens like anytime they want to buy anything, they message me, "Hey, RJ, do you have any offer regarding that?" I'm like, "Yeah, I do have it. Here's the
Yeah.
link. Just go buy." So they don't go anywhere. They
Yes,
get
yes.
gets back to me anytime they want to buy any product. So if you think about that, it's like you have put your time and everything out there upfront, and then you're getting all of those things on the other side. So that's crazy. So true.
True, true, true. People also called you Dream 100 expert, right? So, what
Yeah.
is the one thing that by having the Dream 100 framework help you in online business? Because people called you Dream 100 expert, and what is the framework of your Dream 100?
Yeah, so if people really don't know what Dream 100 is, Dream 100 is a
Yeah,
concept of how you build a relationship with the top influencers in your market so that
right.
ultimately in
True.
the long run they promote your products. That's what actually Dream 100 is. So anyone who went through one funnel away challenge, they probably have went through the lesson of Dream 100 itself. The
Right.
biggest problem
Yes,
people
yes.
face is they actually, they think so then they know what Dream 100 is, but they actually don't know how to implement it. Okay, so when
True.
I learned about Dream 100, I got very excited to learn about that. When I went through one funnel away challenge, it kind of stuck to me, but I never thought about of doing it in the start. There were like few of my friends like Alan Dean and like Josh Forty who I followed, who had done awesome podcast, awesome. They got awesome guests on the show. So I started to get some guests on my Facebook Live and my Facebook group. I was trying to grow my
Awesome.
group at that moment in the
Yeah.
late 2019. So when I interviewed like few people like Alex Elliott, Paul Motley, Heidi, and like these are some people out there, then I thought about, okay, I have to have a show because Russell talks about you have to have your own
Yeah.
distribution channel. And
True, true.
in Traffic Secrets, he talk about Dream 100 a lot. There are a lot of
A
sections, a
lot.
lot of things he talks about Dream 100.
Yes.
So I was like, okay, I have to have my own distribution channel. What if I create a show? Then I thought about, okay, what's gonna be the name of the show? Naming the show wasn't that complicated for me because I was kind of like using that exact same phrase from a long time. It was like, welcome to
Okay.
Interviews with Entrepreneurs show. I was like, okay, let's do
Yeah.
it, Interviews with Entrepreneurs show. Let's do it. Keep it as it
Awesome.
is.
Awesome.
So I kept the name. My very first guest on the show was Spencer. If people don't know who Spencer Beacom
Awesome.
is,
Spencer.
he's
Yeah.
a
He's a
seven-figure affiliate marketer. He's $1 million affiliate. Yeah, he's insane. Yeah,
yeah.
insane.
Within
One
a
of the most humble guy I
two.
met on the internet. It's like crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
So that
He's a
point out
two
there when I
CC
reached out to
award
Spencer,
winner.
yeah, he is a two
Yeah.
CC award winner. He's one of the only two or three guys who made $1 million as an affiliate on ClickFunnels as well. Like only
Affiliate.
few people out there
Yeah.
who've really done that, and also like top affiliate in other affiliate
Awesome.
programs. So in on January 2020 last year, I reached out to Spencer for an interview. I was like, "Hey Spencer,"
Awesome.
after
Wow.
obviously after providing value, after engaging with his group, after engaging with him, I reached out to him. I was like, "Hey man, I would love to have you on my show. Let's do it." He said yes, but he said one thing that, hey, okay, let's do after funnel hacking live. It's funnel hacking live time. Let's do it later on.
Oh yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, okay, let's
Yes,
do
yes.
it. I was like super motivated. I'm like, I'm gonna get you as my first guest. Then I'm gonna do the rest episodes. I'm not gonna do any other episode until I get you. So I wait for 2 months.
Okay.
On Traffic Secrets launch, he came up with an awesome offer out there, and I was like, hey man, on comment section I told him that, hey man, I would love to have you on my show. If you give me 30 minutes of your time, I'm gonna get Trilogy box set from you. Now, Trilogy box set is like around, I don't know, like 120 $150, something like that, with shipping and handling. He probably got like $40. He don't need my $40 out there in order to give me
Yeah.
30 minutes of his time. He can make that the next second.
True.
He's a seven-figure affiliate marketer. So we
Yeah.
have to understand that fact. But he was super kind, super humble. He reached back out to me. He said, "Hey man, I owe you this interview. Here's the link of the calendar. Go and book me up." So I booked him up. He told me one more thing. He said that, hey, don't buy the box set without having me on your show. I owed you this, so don't buy the box set. But I was like, man, I told you I'm gonna buy it. I'm committed. I want to stay committed because I said that. I
Yes.
just went in and bought the box set because I don't want it to seem
Awesome.
like I've already booked him and I'm not gonna buy right now. I bought the box set out
Yes.
there, and then finally I got him on the show. When I got him on the show for the very first time, I actually
Awesome.
messed it up. Okay, I actually
Oh,
messed it up because I didn't know how to do an interview like properly and getting like seven-figure
true.
person out there. I really didn't know how to do the process of an interview. I really didn't know how to handle those things. I really didn't know how to ask better questions. I was asking ridiculous questions. I asked Spencer, could you tell me, like, is that backdrop made of wood or plastic? I was asking this
Okay.
question to Spencer Makeup, okay? And he's like,
Yeah.
when you have someone, there is a code to ask, to get better answer, you have to ask better questions. I was asking ridiculous
Yes.
questions.
Right.
And when the interview ended, I felt like Spencer gonna hate me. Spencer never gonna reply me. Spencer not gonna like me. So many things I had in my mind, but then because I wasn't clear, then I started to interview like few other people. Like then I interviewed Akbar Sheikh. Then I booked up like Jim Edwards, but my Facebook account got
Oh,
shut. I got Facebook slap. Then I interviewed like Funnel Dog, and so on. So I started to interview a lot of
okay.
people. During that time, when I started to interview people consistently, because if people don't know, I had done 52 consistent interviews, like 52
Yes,
weeks, which
yes.
is like 1 year consistently.
That
So
is,
at that time, yeah, it is crazy. It's
yeah.
crazy just because people are not consistent in doing interviews. I know a lot of my friends and people that I really know, I really admire. They do interviews out there. I told them to be consistent. Just go and do it, because when I started to do consistent, when I did like 3 or 4 interviews, people started to notice a lot that I'm doing Dream 100. I was like, yeah, man, I'm doing it. So yeah, like I'm
Hmm.
doing it. So when they started to notice a lot, when things went pretty better for me, and I interviewed a lot of people out there, there was a point where I realized, okay, how I'm interviewing, it becoming much better. How I'm doing this stuff is becoming much better. How I'm building relationship much better, because Dream 100 is something that Chet Holmes came up with a process. Russell Brunson like took that to another level, and then it took the whole concept and like built whole things around it. So me being
Yes.
talking about Dream 100, I wanted to do first of all justice. I wanted to make sure I don't degrade anyone. My intention was never to degrade like Russell or Dana out there in any process. They are the people why the concept still kind of existed in the space itself. What I actually wanted to do was I wanted to narrow it down, and I wanted to let people know that, hey, if you want to do Dream 100, there one more way to do it with interviews as well. Let me show you how to do it, and let me show you how I had done it. So things started to went pretty well with that. In the initial start, my favorite interviews that I've done, my first 11 or 12 interviews was one with Kathleen Jones. It was an awesome interview, and the other one
Okay.
was with Steve Larson. So that point I started to be like, hey, what if I teach people how to master Dream 100 but using interviews? Like
Okay.
how I teach people why having a show is super important, why having your own distribution is
Yes, yes.
super important, and why you can use your show to build relationship with your Dream 100. So then I came up kind of my masterclass. Then I went on and taught about, okay, how to do it effectively.
So you just tell that you done 52 interview within a year consistently.
Yeah.
So how did you you are so much consistent, because every week one interview is not so easy task. Every week one interview is not so easy task. How you become so much consistent?
I think the only, I was doing one interview per week. I think one of the most common thing that people have to understand is
Yes.
you have to understand what is the thing which makes you easy to do that particular task. Okay, I was
Yes.
comfortable of doing one show a week. I was super comfortable in doing that. I was like,
Okay.
okay, I can at least spend like one interview per week. It is doable. I can do that. I want to do interviews in such a way that I don't feel like I am doing myself burnout. I'm consuming myself a lot. I really don't want it to do that aspect. So first of all, when I decided to do one interview, people miss out one thing. They don't reach out multiple guests at a time. I reached out to multiple guests at a time out there. Let's say if I'm reaching out to 5 people, out of 5, 2 said yes,
Hmm.
two said no, one ignored the message that is okay for me. If 2 said yes, I've already booked up 2 people for 2 weeks. So it is kind of a numbers
Okay.
game. To be very honest, I started to
Oh,
reach out
yes,
like
yes,
so
yes.
many people, and in the initial start, it was like uh, do multiple follow-ups. I still do multiple follow-ups with some people out there when, let's say, if they're busy, let's say if they are like not responding at the moment. But in the initial start, it was like I was creating my momentum. I was creating an exposure. I was kind of creating that sort of credibility in the space. Later on, what actually happened is when I started to get like even more guests. But a lot of people, when I got them on the show, they were like, "Hey man, we saw you interviewed so many of our friends on your show. That is awesome."
Yeah.
I was
Awesome.
like, let me know who is the person whom I haven't interviewed. Let me know about the person. that really helped me out to that really helped me out to be like kind of omnipresent in front of every single person's eyes, which I wanted to reach out. Because when I started my
Yes.
show, I had a goal to get Russell Brunson on my show. I had the plan of getting Russell Brunson on my 50th episode. Obviously I wasn't able to do that. So
Hmm.
but I was like, I have to get Russell, I have to do it. In order to get Russell Brunson on the show, I have to figure out who are those people who are kind of closely to Russell. I start creating my
Right.
dream
Right.
100
Right.
list. Who are those people who are close to Russell? I've interviewed almost
Because
most of the people out there who are close to Russell Brunson.
yes, yes. Because they all are like Russell. Steve Larson is a friend of Russell Brunson. So if he share your story, your post of interview, so Russell Brunson get notice you that yeah, he is the guy who is doing interviews and all those things, right? So it
Yeah,
is a very
and it
good
is
and
it is
cool. Yeah.
and and the reason why I want to add one more thing, and the reason why when I picked out a lot of people around Russell Brunson, as you said, one thing which is true, which let's say if Steve shared the story, obviously Russell gonna see that. I wanted to make sure
Yes.
he's gonna see again and again. Sometimes you don't remember one person by watching that person once. You have to watch that person
True.
again and again in order to have the person in your mind that that person exists. So I wanted to make sure I do it
Yes. Yes.
again
Yes.
and again and again. So I interview like I interviewed like Dave Woodward, who is like CEO of ClickFunnels at the moment. I
Yeah.
interviewed
Yeah.
like Dave
Yes. Yes.
Woodward.
Yes.
I've interviewed ClickFunnels affiliate managers like Ben Harris, who was in the past, Turner Leslie right now. I interviewed him. I interviewed
Awesome.
like Steve Larson twice, which is crazy. I interviewed Shakir Hussain, who is also in
Awesome.
kind of in circle, Marley Jazz, Catherine Jones, Blake Newbar, like
Awesome.
all of these people. Because I wanted to make sure that Russell noticed that I exist. Russell makes sure that my show exists, so that when their point comes, when I let's say reach out to him and I talk about the stuff, it's gonna happen. So that was the main thing.
Yeah. So you taking so much of interview, right? Or
Yeah.
all those are big entrepreneur, top entrepreneur. So what is the one trick you use every time to approach for your show? What is the one trick?
Yeah, so the one thing that I actually use to reach out to them for my show is obviously my script, obviously my leverage of previous guests I've interviewed. Because let's say if I want to interview Marley Jacks on my show, and if I can talk about
Hmm.
what I actually do is when I name guests, the people who I interviewed, I try to name those guests who are kind of closer with them. If I actually interviewed them on my show, like Steve is closer, Marion Golden is closer, Catherine Jones is closer. I name these type of people who I actually interviewed on my show. It becomes more relevant for them to say yes for being on my show. So and also like my script is something like that. It's like, hey, I have a show called Blank. My show where I interview entrepreneurs who are super awesome in their niches. I have interviewed like some previous guests like blank blank blank. I would love to have you
Hmm.
on my show for like 30 minutes. I'm stating my time. If you're good to go, send me your calendar. I will book you up, or let me know who's the best person who can make it happen. So I'm giving them every single
Okay.
opportunity for saying yes to me. If I'm giving them every single opportunity, even if I get yes, that's a good answer. If even if I get no, that's a good option. I don't want to get ignored.
True.
If I get ignored, then I have to do a follow up. If they say no to me, the
Yeah.
second thing I ask them is, what is the perfect time I can reach back out to you again? Because
Yes. Yes. Yes.
if you read a book by Sabri Subi, Sell Like Crazy, Sabri Subi talks about no is also an interest. You can change that
No.
interest level from no to yes. So I wanted to do that
Yes.
thing when I was interviewing those people out there. So I always ask them, hey, if you said no, when is the perfect time I can reach back out to you again? Or what is the perfect time I can get back to you again? So it happens sometimes. The quick story, like when I reached out to Steve Larson's very first time, I don't remember her assistant, her first assistant. What was her name? I don't remember her first assistant name. It started from K. I don't
Hmm.
remember. So when I reached out to her assistant out there for the very first interview, she kind of said no. She was like, if you have like 50 views around your show and for any episode, we would love to have Steve on your show. So what happened with the no, I got a condition. I was like, cool. Let me
Okay.
do 50.
Yeah.
Let me get a few episodes which have 50 views. Let me get back to you. I did some episodes. I got 50 views. Took the screenshot. Get back to them, and then I got Steve Larson for the very first time. But for the second time, it was kind of crazy because her new assistant, reached out to me on her own. She said that she want to be on the show. He would love to be on the show again. I was like, cool, why not? Let's do it. So then I got like Steve for the second time on the show. So that's the only thing I actually do in order to reach out to them. Leverage those previous guests
Awesome.
and leverage those that particular script. I know it works. I've used it for every single person out there. So yeah, that's the thing.
Oh, that's awesome. That's so awesome. Like you are again and again follow up because follow up is essential because it
Yeah.
is not fact that everyone said yes to us, but we need to remind them that yeah, we are exist, right? Yes.
Yep, so true. I
So
reached out to Grant Cardone and
yeah,
her assistant out there for an interview. So think about it. They told me to reach back out to them after 6 months. I was like, okay, I'm gonna wait for 6 months. I'm gonna get back to you again. Even if they say me one
yes,
year,
yes,
I'm gonna get back to them again because they're giving me
yeah,
condition. They are not saying me like total no, like he's not gonna come to you or like something like that. So they're giving me kind of like condition to
yeah.
wait or do something. Even if they say like, hey, let's say if you're gonna hit like I don't know like 10,000 subscriber, I'm gonna wait until I hit 10,000 subscriber. I know what is the goal to get that person.
Oh, yes,
It should withstand with
yes,
that. That's
yes,
the
yes.
only thing. So yeah, that's the main thing.
True. Yeah, that's awesome. Means we need to again and again remind them, yes, that we are exist. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
what's if a new person want to start his own show, and he also want to invite the Dream 100 in their show, right? So, what
Yeah.
he used, how he started his dream interview show and invited his uh, Dream 100.
Okay. So the very first thing you have to do is first of all name your show and define the agenda of your show. Like what is the purpose? Like who are those people who you actually want to target to be on your show? I try to be clear with it. For me, it was pretty clear. I want to target successful entrepreneurs who are like awesome in their niche
Mhm.
or like kind of like dominating in their niches out there. So I wanted to interview those people on my show. It could be anything. If you in video marketing, if you want to target like video marketers who are like try to narrow it down in that particular way. That's the first thing. Second thing is you have to make sure you get some people. Like for me, it was kind of I was kind of lucky because I was consistent before even reaching out to Spencer. You know, and if you notice one thing, before my official show, I had already interviewed like 3 or 4 guys on my on in general Facebook Live. So
Yes, yes.
you interview some people, get some people out there who are kind of like six figures or like one level ahead of you on their shows. So it will help you to become better in doing interview because in the start you are kind of worse. You have to be worse in order to be the best. And in the
True.
first few interviews I've done, it wasn't that good. If you can even watch it and check that out, it wasn't awesome. It wasn't good at all. But I was
Right,
kind of
right,
like
right.
optimizing myself, and you can only do when you do it initially when you actually do it. So uh, get some people out there who are like let's say who are making six figures, reach out to them, get them on the show first. Once you get like bit of an idea and bit of an understanding out there, then I would suggest then go back and get other people out there, reach out to them. Before reaching out to any person, make sure to
Yeah.
engage with them a bit, engage with their content where they are. If they have a group, engage with them in a group. If they for Spencer, he is super active in his group. So I was engaging a lot. I still engage a lot in his group. I became his top contributor. He gave me a shout out like multiple times in his group now, which is awesome.
Hmm.
But you can use that stuff out there in order to again creating your presence. When you create your presence, then go
Yeah.
back and reach out to them for an interview.
True.
Once you get like
Yes.
one big guest, it's gonna kind of become super easier for you to get other people because now they're gonna realize they already got like seven-figure people out there on their show. Once you can get multiple times, you can do it. Like yesterday, I believe, yesterday or like a day before yesterday, we got a guy named Law Payne who is a nine-figure person out there,
Yes.
like $50
Yeah,
million
yeah.
dollar in sales,
He's
which was crazy.
awesome.
And he was super humble. He was a super humble guy. I was like, it becomes in a rare case that you see a person to be on that level and still be like humble. Some people are all about Lambos, bragging, 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 but those people were absolutely crazy. But yeah, that's my common
Right,
tip
right.
is think about the show name, think about the purpose of the show, think about the guest you have to have a show. Start with one or two level people ahead of you, get those people, get comfortable, and then get other people on the show. 100% you are absolutely
True.
not going to be 100% comfortable, but you at least going to be like slightly more confident before you
Yes,
actually
yes.
start. And because these 30 minutes you actually spend in an interview can define how you actually building the relation with your Dream 100. So yeah,
True.
that's what my take is.
Yeah, just now you answered the question of Suraj that what is the one thing to make a good relationship? You
First of all,
answered this
it
question.
yeah. What is the one thing we can do to make a good relationship with Dream 100? Okay, I can see there's also a follow-up question. What if our Dream 100 don't know about us, but we are consistent and doing a lot of work on marketing? And uh, let me tell you a quick answer for that. I interviewed Josh Forty. He said one thing which made a lot of
Hmm.
sense, and I want to talk about that again. He was like, you can't compete with them on a business level. Okay, like
True.
he became a friend with Russell Brunson. He can't really compete on the business side actually. Russell Brunson is like
True.
probably 100 times ahead where Josh is probably. Okay, so
Hmm.
what he actually did, he tried to become uh, equal on a personal level. Okay, so don't be like and don't think like since you're making a lot of money is going to give you that leverage. No. Second thing, don't think about that if you are really good in marketing that's going to give you leverage. Again, no, I don't think so. Some people can disagree, that's okay, but there are some type of some ways when you leverage and you get your attention of your Dream 100 using your skills. Some people get it through their skills. Dana worked with Russell Benson for his copywriting project without charging him anything, serving with him. He leveraged his skill to kind of like getting into the world of their Dream 100 without expecting anything.
Hmm.
So even though the reason I talked about shows is because when you do consistent shows and consistent, people are watching you. The people you are interviewing them, obviously you're kind of like all of them are interconnected to each other. Kind of they're
Right. Right.
interconnected because some of them are going to be in different markets, some of them are in different niches out there, so they're interconnected with each other. When you're doing it consistent, obviously, as you said, when they're going to share your profile, share your content, share your stuff, even though not everyone's going to do it, some people are going to do it. You're creating that existence and you're creating those omnipresence out there in front of those people, in order to make sure that, let's say if you reach out, some of them already going to know you that you had a show. And that's the reason why I talk say it as a show, not a Facebook Live, not something like that. Because when you say it as a show, there is a huge difference for it. It creates insane amount of authority. And
Right. Right. Right.
as like Suraj said, what is the one thing we can do to make a good relation? First of all, how I was able to do it. First of all, I was engaging with them a lot. I was connecting. I was providing value in their community a lot. Because one thing, not everyone is your Dream 100. Not everyone,
Yeah.
realize
Yeah.
with your mission is. Not everyone is a person, even though they're successful, doesn't mean it defines your Dream 100 category. There are some people out there who are not my Dream 100 because I don't want to talk with all of those people out there, even if they're successful. Why should I do? Like those people are not really resonate what I actually do or what I'm about. So I don't want to even like build relation with those people. So I want to target those people who can, who are those people who I can resonate. So for building a good relation, I make sure first of all I engage with them a lot. But like a friend, like a person, not a fan. I see a lot of people out there who talk about being a fan. Josh talked about it as well, and I talked about it a lot. Don't be a fan, be a friend of them. Try to create relation. If you are a fan, you are just another fan, just fan. So don't be a fan out there, which is like awesome, which is important. And when you do a show, when you get them on a show, when you create a good experience for them in those 30 minutes or those 45 minutes, they have like probably have done like 100 episode, 100 podcasts, 200 podcasts, 300
Right.
podcasts. If
True.
you actually create a good experience, you are one of the few people who actually build a good experience for them being on the show. Because if you actually mess that up, they're humans. You have to understand that they have their own
True.
choice of likeness or not. If you create a bad experience, probably they're gonna be like, hey, we don't feel like we're gonna be connected with you uh, again, or we don't feel like that we want to stay connected just because everyone have their human experience. So that is the only reason I make sure that any show that I did, I make sure that I really crushed it. I make sure that it is a good experience for them. So it helped me to open another loop to stay connected with them. That is the only reason I'm still connected with a lot of my Dream 100, which I interviewed on my show.
Yeah. Yeah. That was awesome. Yeah. like Dream 100 is all those things. Means Russell Brunson is ClickFunnels is all depend on Dream 100, or it is all are
Yeah.
Russell Brunson is not fan of those. He's just Dream 100. He follow them. He's a mentor,
Yep.
like Russell Brunson's mentor, and he follow them. And yeah, all ClickFunnels Foundation and all, everything is depends on Dream 100. Right? That was awesome.
Yep. 100%.
Yeah, Dream
He
100.
said that,
Yes.
which is crazy.
Yeah. And yeah, you also tell that we need to show up daily, regular means
Yeah.
we are publishing daily. We need to publish daily. So maybe most of the time you also see a post like that, that they are sharing. I make this content, this much amount, $1,000 without of doing blogging, without of any publishing YouTube, Facebook Live, without of publishing any content. So what you are going to suggest to them, because it is a long term. Publishing content is a long term game, and so what is your suggestion for
Yeah.
like this post?
I think the biggest problem that people have right now, apart from how much money they're actually making, they want it fast. They want it short term. They are relying on one traffic source. Actually, they're kind of doing
Yeah,
a short term thing. They're not building their list. They're not building their connection. They're not leveraging anything. I don't have any problem with them. They have their own life. I'm doing my
right,
own
right,
stuff
right.
because I know. Let's say I don't want to compare myself, even though sometimes we're humans, we do. I don't want to
True.
compare myself because there are some things that I'm personally doing that they're not actually doing because they want quick stuff. They want to make quick money. Some of them are actually doing that as well, which is fine for them. But here's the thing. Let's say, we don't own Facebook, we don't own YouTube, we don't own these social media platforms apart from our email list,
True,
let's
true.
say. So if something happens, I got the Facebook slap. I was out of the business out there. The only reason I got back and the only reason I was able to do it successfully is because I was building those network of people. I was building that audience. I was building these connections with people so that when I went out, people felt my existence is missing in my community, in my people. If people really don't know that if you went out of business, if they really don't know you exist, you don't have a business, you don't have an audience, you don't have anything regardless of that. So silently making money is something like where you are not building your exposure, where people don't even know about what you do, but you make money. Okay, on the monetary side, it's okay. You want to make sure you take both things together. So if someone is
True.
making money but he is not like visible in front of the audience, it could be in any way: text posts, videos, interviews, in any way. Just you have to build that audience. You have to build those connections because that's the only thing that's gonna save you, even whatever happens to social media. I didn't had any option when I got my Facebook account banned. The only thing I was
Yes,
frustrated
yes.
at that moment was because there was an interview that was supposed to happen with Jim Edwards. That was the only thing that I
Yeah.
cared about. I didn't care about my Facebook account. Oh my God, I had previous sort of content. I didn't care about those things that much. That was my only
True,
concern
true.
because
Right,
when I got back, it took me only a week to get everything set back up again. So
right, right.
that thing wasn't a challenge for me, because I knew what I need to do. I knew who are the people I'm connected, who are the people who I actually know. So even when I started out or started to put back out my content structure, everyone knew who I was. Even new people doesn't like saying anything to me because of my interview structure, my content, what it was. So don't rely on one traffic source. First thing, focus on more,
Yes, yes.
more than one, at least two. And second thing, build your exposure, build your community. I don't really care about how much money actually you make. It's good for you. It's good. It's fine. But you're kind of not actually building a real business where you don't have those, audiences, your community, your network. So yeah, that's what my take is.
Right, right. Community building is the key for long term success, right? Because if you have a network, your net worth is equals to your network, the quote.
100,
Right?
100%.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes. And you also launch your book Dream 100. So how at the age of 21, how did you get to write the idea of a book? It is a like you are just a 21. Yeah, people don't think
Yep.
anything about the launching book, and they don't like to read a book at least, but you launch your
Yeah.
own book. How you get
Yeah.
the
Funny.
idea?
Funny enough, like few days back, I got my first copy of my copies
Yeah,
of the book, which is like
awesome,
awesome.
awesome.
And thank
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. First of all, like I haven't believed that I had, I'm gonna go in and write a book. I never thought about thing at all. People who haven't got the book get it. It's crazy. But
Yeah,
here's the thing.
the link in comment section. Yeah.
Yeah. So here's the thing. I saw a book by Daniel Dix. It's called One Week Author, and that book shows about how to write a book in 1 week. Obviously, you can't write a book in 1 week. He have the experience. He's already written 13 books prior to that. But what he actually talk about in his book is you don't need to be an author. You don't need to have a publisher. You don't need to spend like years of your time in order to write a book. What most people don't understand is they think about they want to be the next Robert Kiyosaki. They want to write the next Rich Dad Poor Dad. They want to be in that way, but it's not easy. Those are evergreen books, and those books are in the space for decades, like 20 years, 30 years, something like that period of time in the space, or even more than that. So when that thing came to my mind and I started to understand that I don't need a publisher, I don't need to spend like 5 to 10 years of my time in order to write a book, I became pretty clear. It broke my false belief that okay, I can write a book. That's the first thing. Second thing I got in my mind, what is the thing that I can really write a book? Because again, book is authority. First thing, they are not
True.
much readers than writers. There are more readers than writers. So when you have a book, you're again getting that leverage of you being an author. So third thing is like when people think about an author or a book, especially by my age, it's like crazy. Like 21, having a book and how the book being structured out, it was crazy. So I was thinking about okay, what is the one thing I actually go in and write a book on? I was thinking about it a lot, and then I was like, okay, I had done 44 interviews at that moment. I was like, what if I choose like top 30
Okay.
interviews
Awesome.
of top 30
Awesome.
entrepreneurs in 30 different markets
Awesome.
and convert it into a book? I was like, oh my God, that's crazy.
Okay.
So I reached out to all of those people, and one of them said no. For me, it was fine because I had already so many other guests on the show itself. So there were some people and they were like, dude, you're 21, you're writing a book. There were 7 and 8 figure entrepreneurs who are like saying that. They were literal shocked. They were like, how you are able to pull that up actually. But I was like, yeah, I'm doing it. So they loved to be the part of it. I went on, I took my interviews from them, I wrote the book. Then I was thinking about a name because I wanted to have a good name out there which can like make sense. So I had few suggestions. I was talking with one of my Tucumã Club ex-friend. He's like multiple time 2CCX award winner. I told him some ideas. He
Right.
said that, man, these names sucks. I was like, okay, what would you suggest? So he suggested me Decades in Days. I was like, wow, that's an awesome name. That's a really good name. But
Decades.
I haven't, yeah, Decades in Days. So I haven't chose that name right away.
Decade.
What I did, I started to choose other name. I wanted to see like if I have other options as well. So when I saw other options, I didn't find that like more interesting, more thing that can do justice to the book itself. So when I got the subtitle clear of the book, which is like the book to learn from decades of experience of successful entrepreneurs on how to build yourself and your business online, I was like, oh my god, it's gonna be decades and days. How to shrink the
Awesome.
decades of experience of these people in days in a book. So now what I call it is like 30 chapters, 30 entrepreneurs, decades of experience, one book, decades in days. So yeah, that's what I call it right now.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. That's awesome. So if people want to join or want to buy his book, the link in the comment section, you can go and check it out. It is awesome book. You get 30 top entrepreneurs knowledge, like
Yep.
30 different market knowledge. It is like a crazy. You get in a book 30 different knowledge. It is
In a
like a
book,
awesome book.
crazy. You just
Yeah.
think about it in this way. These 30 people are real experts. These are not like people who are like on Lambos. Like think about in any market you are. If you are an affiliate marketer, there's a chapter by Spencer. If you are a coach, there's a chapter by Akbar Sheikh. If you think about, let's say, a power
Awesome.
of like building audience, power of designing, there's a chapter by Catherine Jones. If you talk about offer creation, there's a chapter by Steve Larson. If we talk about, let's say, creating wealth, there's a chapter by Shakir Hussain. If we talk about how to build a 9-figure SaaS company, there's a chapter by Dave Woodward. Someone asked me a question that is that book is a good fit for a person who is making like $10 million per year? I said yes. Why? Because there are some people out there who are expert. Like Dave Woodward is handling a 9-figure per year company like ClickFunnels. He knows more stuff than a person who's making $10 million per year. So
True, true, true.
he can read that chapter, not obviously not the whole book, but there are some chapters which absolutely can help them out in order to get that thing work out. So yeah, Decades and Days, link is gonna be in the comment section down below. If you haven't got
Link
your
is in
copy,
the
just go
comment
and do it.
section. You can check it.
Yep, just go and do it
Yeah,
because probably on Monday or Tuesday we are doing kind of a book tour or like book reading or so, because I'm going to read every
okay,
single chapter
okay.
every single day, explain the process, how they talked about,
Awesome,
how you can actually
awesome.
implement it. So yeah, you have to get the copy of it first. So get the copy,
Yeah.
otherwise you're
If
not going to
you
understand it.
if you need not check the so link in the comment section, you can go and grab this book. And yeah, any last word, because we are about to very big. Any last word for our audience
I,
to?
I would say only one thing: just don't compare yourself. Just don't do it. Okay, don't try to compare yourself with the people out there who are like, let's say in revenue, like making more than you. You can even think about the people who are making less than you. Why don't you compare on the upper
Okay.
side? And you have to understand there are going to be some people who are going to start before you, or some people who are going to start after you, going to get the success before you. And it's okay, it's fine. Sometimes you take a lot of time, sometimes you're doing some things out there that other people are not doing. So those things demands time for you to do it. So don't compare yourself. Steve said that it's you versus you and you versus yesterday. So yeah, don't compare yourself and take a perfect action. Yeah.
Yeah, what a way to end the show. This is a so awesome golden nugget shared by RJ Ahmed, and I am so grateful to have you on the show. And I also want you to on my show on the next time as well in future. So
For
I'm
sure, man.
thankful
For
so
sure.
much.
100%.
Thank you so much, and thanks a lot for stay come with live come on my show. So thank you.
Thank
Okay.
you. Thank you so much, man. Thank you so much.
Uh, so yeah. Uh, so that is awesome information shared by RJ Hamad, and thank you so much for all of you to stay here till the end. You can also join my Facebook group for more online marketing, business knowledge, and for online marketing and business knowledge. We come up with more entrepreneurs in our show. So stay tuned with us. Till then, bye bye. Nilesh Jain this side. Bye bye.